I'm making a difficult action roguelike where you fall into the depths of a massive cave system and must escape only using your grappling hook. In the previous video I've told you all about how Cavescape is a multiplayer adventure game where every cave is completely procedurally generated, but a lot has changed by now and the amount of views the last video got really changed the entire game. Not only did it make my game's wishlist go nuts, but it also completely flooded my game's crowdfunding goal, helped me build an entire team that works on this game, and even made one of the biggest game dev YouTubers invite me to his project. This was my game Cavescape when I made my first video 3 months ago, and it basically evolved from this rectangle on a rope concept to a multiplayer game with really fun grappling mechanics. But the issue that had been bugging me since the beginning was always this, and also this. Why? Because all of these are assets. Yeah, I only used assets for the entire game, because I'm a bad artist and I didn't have any money to pay someone to make pixel art for me, which even led people to think I stole these from Geometry Dash. But anyways, as a 17-year-old who's still in school, there aren't any quick ways to make a lot of money, right? Well, there kinda is one, called selling beans on eBay. And then there's also one called Kickstarter, which is what I use. Kickstarter is a platform where you can sell your game before it's finished, and people get funny rewards for buying early, like having your name on a tombstone. Link in description. So, to raise money to pay for art and music, I started making my first Kickstarter campaign. It failed. Yeah, I spent weeks preparing this campaign and a month making TikToks, but it's all for nothing. Or is it? I had to make a decision. Do I want to quit or do I want to learn from my mistakes and try Kickstarter one more time? I made another Kickstarter campaign, but this time I also made a YouTube video about my game. I was so fed up with YouTube at that point because I've been making long form videos for over a year but never got more than 100 views. So I literally told myself, if that video doesn't get at least 1000 views, I quit. But what happened next made me truly glad I didn't. The video blew up, getting thousands of views in just 2 days. And by day 3, my Kickstarter campaign was already 63% funded. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the amount of money I made in just 3 days. But it also made me a little nervous. Why? Well, I added the option to get early access to the game, but when I did that, the game wasn't even very playable yet. But you will see how that turned out later. So, 5 days in, the campaign was fully funded, and since I was rich now, I could finally pay someone to help me with pixel art. Luckily, I made a Discord server and this guy joined. As it turns out, Masp is a great pixel artist who is about to completely change the looks of this game. At that point, I had no clue that one of the biggest game dev YouTubers was about to join my server. Anyways, Masp immediately started retexturing everything and transformed these boring items into incredibly good looking textures, and also made new tiles for each cave, including these cool looking background tiles and new crystals. But there was a major problem. I had to give these people a playable demo in a few weeks and the game didn't even have enemies, except for the bat, which I removed because it was too annoying. So we made the first 2 enemies for the crystal cave and also one for the jungle biome. This is the first enemy for the crystal cave. Can you see it? It's a crab with a really sensitive nose that can sense any bad smell. That's why it attacks you when you get too close. Since there could be a crystal crab hiding under any of these crystals, you have to be very careful when walking past an area with lots of crystals. But you can sort of avoid them by hooking yourself along the ceiling. The other enemy is actually not in the game yet, but it'll get its place in the next devlog. The jungle cave enemy we added was the snatcher, which is a very aggressive flower thingy that tries to eat you when you get close. This forces you to either get past them really quick, kill them, or just find another path. And then, out of nowhere, Blackthornprod joined my Discord server and invited me to his 100 Dev series. He's one of the biggest game dev YouTubers, so of course I said yes and spent some time participating in his project. And right after that, I made the most significant improvements to the game. I drastically improved the mechanics. That's not what I meant. So now we're getting to the fun stuff. A really important mechanic in the game is reeling in the grappling hook, because it's basically the only way to escape the cave. And if you time it correctly while swinging, it flings you up a pretty good distance. But adding the exact opposite mechanic would actually improve this trick even more. The mechanic I'm talking about is reeling out the rope. If you do the same trick now, you can reel out the rope first, which increases your swinging speed, and then reel in the rope at the right time. Now there's also more time to accelerate, flinging you up even higher. You thought this trick was already powerful enough, eh? Well, you might be right, but I added something that makes it even more powerful anyways. Recoil. Getting recoil from a gun is such a simple mechanic, but it adds so many possibilities to exploit and combine it with other mechanics. Like the jump recoil hook, or the recoil swing jump, or the recoil swing jump recoil hook. Can we please make that the official name for that move? It was time to release the early access version for the backers, and I was pretty confident that they were going to like it. But then they found a lot of bugs and sometimes all their progress would just be gone. But luckily they still liked the game, and since this was basically just a playtest, they didn't take the bugs too seriously. Since your guns were actually a very important mechanic now, I decided to spend some time making your shots feel impactful. And when I said impactful, I mean making you feel like you have an entire army of tanks in that gun. Here's what I made. Honestly, I think this made the game a little too fun, because instead of working on the game, I'm just playing it all the time. I could literally do this all day. Then I stumbled upon a really cool feature that made the game look so much better, called Pixel Perfect. This makes the game feel like an actual pixel art game, and it's what most successful pixel art games use as well. It basically downscales everything to the desired pixel size, which looks pretty cool and makes non-pixel art things look like pixel art. Like this rope, for example. I found some cool ways to use that to make more natural looking vines, and I'm probably gonna do that in the next devlog. But there's still a problem. Everything in this game has been retextured except for the most important thing, the player. So Angry Eggs made a completely new character, and I think it looks awesome. Another thing that's awesome is this juicy wishlist button on the Cavescape Steam page, which you can find by clicking the top link in the description. Seriously though, wishlisting helps a lot. By the way, you can still get some cool rewards on Kickstarter, check it out.